Hello, B Block. Sorry again that I can't be with you for the remainder of the period, but I've recorded this lecture so we can cover everything that you need to know on attachment in childhood. If you hear snoring in the background, it's because my dog Lola is sleeping next to me while I record this. All right, so let's start out with talking about how our understanding of attachment and human attachment in childhood came to be through the research of Harry Harlow. Um, so Harry Harlow in the 1950s and the 1960s is doing experiments um, on using infant monkeys. And what Harlow notices is that these monkeys, which are separated from their mothers at birth and are kept in sterile cages, with only a soft cheesecloth in their cage. Whenever they take this cheesecloth out to be cleaned, the baby monkeys get very distressed. And so Harlow and his wife Margaret begin to think that there might be something that would be worthwhile in studying about attachment and comfort and love. Up until this point in time, it really was believed that infants the reason why they wanted to be proximal or close to their mothers was because it was where you got food from. And it was just purely functional and about survival. The concept of it being about comfort or love was really ancillary or irrelevant. So what Harlow, the hypothesis is that actually these baby monkeys, let's see if there's something about love that is actually um, as important as nutrition in terms of why infants want to seek proximity and closeness with their mothers. And what Harlow finds out is something that is quite astonishing to them at the time, to the Harlows at the time, which is that not only do the infant monkeys prefer to be on a soft, comforting approximation of, because they're not on their real mothers, they've been separated from their actual mothers, but a soft cloth approximation of their mother, as much as they like this kind of cold, hard wire mother that just has a bottle to deliver food to them. They actually prefer the cloth mother that has no food, no milk, to the wire mother. And you can really thank Harry Harlow. We can't thank him for much because he definitely abused these monkeys, but you can thank him for this, which is that the whole reason why you all hopefully had very loving and caring parents, in part, is because all our current theories about love and attachment and care and affection as being necessary for infants, as necessary as food and medical care and all of that other stuff, it comes from the Harlow's experiments. So what I want you to do now is to pause this lecture, and I want you to go to the page. So on our here, you're just going to click on B Block March 13th. And you're going to click on the first video, Harry Harlow's attachment experiment. So go ahead and watch that. Yes, you're going to see some very adorable baby monkeys, and they're going to be in sort of distressing situations, but I know you can handle it. It's for science. All right, so go ahead and take a look at that, and then come on back, and we will continue. All right, I'm assuming that you have finished watching that video. So let's take a look and at the Harlow video. So let's move on. Now, when we think about our very, very basics of origins of attachment, like why do they attach to, why do animals attach to mothers? That's sort of that's presumed in Harlow's experiments. And basically it comes from the fact that animals are going to attach to their caregivers. They're going to attach to the to whatever they're familiar with, whoever's around most of the time. Which is why when we look at a lot of this research, it's always mothers that we're talking about. It's not that we couldn't talk about fathers, it's just that in, largely modern Western patriarchal society, women, even in egalitarian households, end up doing the lion's share of caregiving for children. So we end up looking at mothers a lot, but we could look at fathers, and indeed, currently there is more research being done about the necessity of fathers in terms of attachment and outcomes for children. But in any case, why do we attach to who do we attach to? We attach to them because they're familiar to us. Now, some animals, for example, birds, actually go through a critical period of imprinting. Now, humans do not go through this, right? We don't imprint, but birds, for example, do, where the first thing that they see that's moving, they will become rigidly attached to it. And so they will, that's why it's so important for the mother to be with the infants, animals, when they are first hatched, because that's when they will imprint. And if they're not there, they'll imprint onto some other moving object, which would be not very advantageous for survival. Okay, let's talk about Mary Ainsworth. Now, Mary Ainsworth is a psychologist who is incredibly important to our theories of attachment and how attachment works, and specifically looking at how we can sort of rate the level of attachment that a child has to its primary caregiver. And Ainsworth, of course, is doing her research in the mid-20th century, so she's going to be talking about mothers. Ainsworth actually starts her research because she goes to, I believe she travels to sub-Saharan Africa with her husband, who I think is a diplomat, but maybe I'm wrong on that. And she notices that the women that she's around, maybe he was an anthropologist, in the place where, in sub-Saharan Africa where they are staying, that the babies are more attached, are sort of more easily soothed by mothers who are very attentive. And so she starts to hypothesize about what's going on about attentiveness and consistency, and if that has something to do with how children attach to their mothers. So she devises this test, which is called the strange situation test. Now, what happens in the strange situation test is a mother and an infant are put alone in a strange room. So means like a room that the kid has never been in before. And the kid and their toys in the room and things like that. And the mom sits while the kid explores. Then a stranger comes into the room, talks to the mother, and then the mother leaves the room. And then after a few moments, the mother returns. In truth, actually, a true strange situation experiment has like a couple more steps than this, but this is what's most important for you to know, that the kid's with the mom in the room, the mom leaves, the kid's left alone in the room, and then the mom comes back. Okay, so what Ainsworth is going to look at is how do the children react when the mother comes back, and she rates it in 3 different ways. All right, so a securely attached child is going to, and this is what most kids are like, is going to feel distress when they're left alone in the room. And then when the mother comes back, they're going to initially be upset, but they're going to seek contact with her, get a hug, get a snuggle, and then they're going to return to, being sort of calm and playing with the toys in the room. Now, an insecurely attached child, instead, they are going to cling to the mother. They're not really going to explore the toys in the room, all right, in the stage 1. Then, when the mother departs, they're going to get very upset, and when she comes back, they're not going to get comforted. So it's not like the securely attached child who's going to, when the mom gets back, they're going to be like, oh, look for the hug, and then go back to playing. The insecurely attached kid is going to be kind of inconsolable. They're going to keep on crying and keep on being upset. They're not going to, return to that place of happiness, of reassurance. Now, finally, we could have an insecure attachment avoidance style. And in this kind of insecure attachment, what's going to happen is in all 3 of these stages, the child is going to be indifferent to the mother's presence. So they're in a strange room, the kid's going to play with the toys. The mother leaves, the child's not going to care. The mother comes back, the child's not going to care. And Ainsworth is going to hypothesize that this comes from having a parent, having a mother who did not consistently give affection or attention when the child at critical periods in the child in childhood, which means that the kid doesn't really rely on them for security at all. Okay, so what I need you to do now is to pause this video, and when you pause it, you're going to go back over here and watch this video on Ainsworth's attachment experiments. Okay, so go ahead and watch that, and you'll see each one of the scenarios in it. Okay, and the gentleman who's going to be talking about it is theorizing how insecure attachment can lead to depressive episodes and disorders in adulthood. Okay, all right, I think you're back, so let's finish up here. All right, we did that. Okay, now here's the question about Ainsworth's experiments. Now, we could say that this is all about parenthood. This is all about the parenting, about attachment, whether the child is securely attached, and that has to do with the relationship that the parent has forged with the child. Or could there be something else going on with why the child reacts to the strange room the way that they do? And could it be about temperament? That is this nature or nurture? Now, so for Ainsworth, it's going to be what? Well, nurture, right? That it's about the relationship that the parent built with the child. But if we say that it is nature, I did say, yeah, okay, then it might be about temperament, right? Temperament is going to be, is largely genetically, it is genetically predisposed. So in the sense that, you could ask your parents, was I a fussy baby? Was I an easy baby? And you were like that pretty much from that. It was your temperament. They didn't teach you how to do that. You were like that from, the first week of your existence out of the womb. And could that be why some of these children are inconsolable when their parents come back, when the mother comes back? It's not that they're insecurely attached, it's just that that's their temperament. So let's take a look at a video. This is a great one about temperament. So it's this one. So go ahead and watch it. And then when you're done, come on back to the lecture and we'll finish up the last little bit. All right. I really like that video. I think the experiments are really clever and the kids are really cute. Okay, so finally, when we think about attachment, the last thing we need to know is that attachment is important not just because it is your relationship with your caregiver or your parents, but because attachment then is going to set the scene for your relationship with the world. Erik Erikson, yes, we will talk about his name, but not today. Erik Erikson, who's a researcher we're going to talk about more, I think this week when we do social development. But he has this concept of basic trust, which we are going to talk about again more later on in this unit. But the idea of basic trust is that it's not just that you need to develop basic trust when you're in the first year of your life. And this is not just about trusting your parents, but that you develop this trust for your parents, that they are going to meet your needs. And if you can develop that trust, that means your trust is going to extend out into the world. That you can trust, if you can trust your parents to feed you and clothe you and take care of you and be good to you, that means that the world is a predictable place and that you can then go out and explore it. So it sets the stage for all the other relationships you're going to have in your life, having that relationship with your parents. Okay? Now, finally, if we are deprived of attachment, what happens? Well, we see that children have, and this is an image from a Romanian orphanage under Nicholas Ceausescu, where children were really not cared for, and they never can form proper attachments. So the last thing I want to show you, if you want to take a look at it, This American Life episode, Love is a Battlefield, is amazing. It's a first-person account of a family that adopts a 7-year-old Romanian orphan. It's one of the best episodes of This American Life that I've ever listened to. So take a listen to it if you have time. All right, thanks guys. See you Thursday.